again, it's my privilege to welcome you to this amazing program, Voice of the Priest Against Corruption. It is a program of PPA, mobilizing Christians against Pentecostal community in Nigeria, with strong support from the John D. and Catherine team at Ato Foundation. My name is Oche Ocheme, and I'm privileged to be your host on this wonderful wonderful program. Today, I'm privileged to be in the studio with an amazing guest, someone who is there who has participated in the PPA program, and he's been a very notable voice in the fight against corruption. Ladies and gentlemen, he's not a cat, but I'll let him out of the bag. So let him introduce himself. Morning. May we meet you, sir?
Good morning. My name is Samuel Idogu.
All right.
I'm a member of Palace of Peace Assembly.
Okay.
I work as a journalist. I think that is all that I...
All right,
yeah,
all right.
Thank you.
Good. I mean, usually when the food is prepared from the in-house to the outside,
That's it.
people wonder, but then you're privileged to be part of the house. I want to ask you a personal question. Before joining PPA, or before you see PPA taking on the fight against corruption, what was your perspective regarding corruption?
Well, corruption, I've always seen corruption as doing things as not being right.
Okay.
And I've always seen it that even in the wider society, there's so much of such being done. And even in the church, many things are not being done right. We are able to judge that they are right or wrong, following the manuals that governs these bodies. If it is the society, will say, well, the rules that run the society, they are not being followed.
Yes.
And talk about the church, how the Bible prescribed. The church have not been following it in total.
Okay.
And so I am aware that corruption is in both the church and even in the society.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you are not one of those who think that the issue of corruption should not be mentioned in the church?
No, at all. I think corruption, in fact, should be mentioned first, even from the church, because church being as a body or an institution, a body of Christ, light.
Okay.
That corruption should be mentioned for them, so that the light that comes from there can show to the wider society.
Okay. John 5:14. All right. So I see that PPA has been advocating so much on the social dimension of the church. Bringing to the fore the dual mandate of the church as exemplified by Jesus Christ.
Yes.
Do you think, or are you one of those who think that the church should focus so much on the spiritual and let the government focus on the social dimension? Or you think the church is in the right place to also address the issues of social dimension of the church?
Well, thank you very much. When the church was not separated from the state,
Yeah.
I would say, well, the church should focus spiritually and the state focus on the physical,
Yeah.
on the
Social.
the social needs of the society or the people.
Yeah.
But as the church and state, they are not together. And the church as a body, because where two people gather, three people gather, there are always needs, not only the spiritual, but there are also the physical. So I think that the church really establishing social arms is really in the right direction, because they kind of follow or explains the real mission of Jesus Christ.
But won't that distract the church from focusing on the spiritual?
Yeah, the thing is that when we even say spiritual, what is actually spiritual that is not physical or that is not social? In fact, it is what is social that makes for spirituality. If you see, people try to dwell on spiritual things that are not seen as if they are doing well. Whereas those that are being seen that are not being done well, they will say, well, it's not the church duties. But the thing is that what is actually spiritual that will not translate to the social, to the physical aspect of a Christian or of the church. You talk about the church. Let's say the church is preaching about love. It's a spiritual something. You talk about love, all the explanations of it, and how does it come to? Can it just be abstractly preached? Also, it has to
Be demonstrated.
And its demonstration is the social aspect. So I would say that the church cannot, its spiritual mission or mandate cannot be separated from its social mandate. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. I know you were one of those, from what my discussion with you for now, one of those who was privileged to participate, observe election, and so on. In time past, the church has played the ostrich role, sitting at the fence to criticize and so on. But I also, one of the guests made us to understand that the Pentecostal community has awoken to their responsibility, participating in election and so on.
Yeah.
Do you think the Pentecostal community participating in election as what's the right word now, as being PPJ being the forefront, has it done well for the church, or is taking the church backward?
It has done well for the church. It is really something very laudable. It's commendable. PPA or PPA and PPJ, they have actually done well. You see, for a very long time, people have been grooming in darkness. You see, the Bible says, "My people perish for lack of knowledge." And the knowledge is there, but people deny it. They refuse it. They close their eyes to it. I think PPJ actually coming up with programs like this has actually opened up the eyes of people, and everyone have come to see it. That yes, what we so neglected, is what has actually been causing our problems because we neglected them. So now that PPA is actually showing the light on all of these, it's making people to actually know their duties and their right. Like in the elections and observation of elections, we'll see that, in fact, when you go and observe election, you may do less to pray in praying about election. You will do less and go and do more of actually mobilizing people on the right way of conducting elections. We may pray in the church, God give us good leaders, and you pray and you lock yourself inside the church, you never come out. But how these leaders are coming, when you go and observe election, you now know why we are getting bad leaders. So the observation of election by the church and participation by the church is laudable, and it makes them to actually points out the evils, and it may not be they may not be repeated even in other times. And by that, within a process, within a very short time, good leaders, good government that we pray for can come up. So I think the church observing elections is something very commendable.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel. Another question that I'm just thinking, though I know someone like Dr. TV who has been championing this cause will also speak to this effect. The social dimension of the church, all inclusive, including election, how does it in any way help to how does it help to promote zero tolerance for corruption among Pentecostals?
Okay. You see, when one does not know what to do, sometimes he think something is not necessary, or something is that he is doing well, but he didn't know actually what to do. But what PPJ through Dr. Tive Ibuzo have actually come to open the eyes of people. We've come to see that many things we assumed all this while were wrong, and that it's time to stand up for the right. In fact, each time I think about the programs of PPJ, I see people like Dr. Tive Buzo as the Messiah that God has sent to the church today to actually come to open the eyes of the people.
Okay.
The people have been grooming in ignorance for too long. Though some of them know, but they are afraid to say it.
Okay.
But, people as bold as Dr. Tive, they're not very common. They're not many. So these are people who are bold to actually speak the truth. I think not just speaking the truth, but because they have lived the truth. They just like they usually say, people who have no skeleton in their cupboard. Really coming to show the light is commendable and is helping the church today.
All right, we are gradually winding down, but I want you to address this. Do you think the efforts being put by PPA, PPJ is making any impact on the issues of corruption, especially as it affects the Pentecostal community?
It's making a great impact.
How, sir?
Great impact. I see that many churches today, many of the Pentecostal churches, through their GOs, they've established the social arm of their church. Many of them today observe the anti-corruption days, emphasize, messages that emphasize on the need to shun corruption. Yeah. In fact, they've also come to see that corruption is not just only outside, but it's even in the church, and they have a way now of fighting it. So the efforts that are being put on are very much, commendable. The Pentecostal churches today, I will see that they are really standing, tall today against corruption. Okay. Many of them. We were, what we saw as corruption in most of the Pentecostal churches were because of the way they were formed. Many people do accuse corruption. Pentecostal churches as business, family business centers. Yeah. But with what Dr. Tive Buzo and others have come to actually bring to the Pentecostal, people have now come to see, well, it's a church, and it's not just a one-man squad, one-man business, but it's an institution that is established to actually fight corruption, fight the power of darkness, in the society. And people are really keen to it. Even members of the church are not really keen to it. They're not seeing themselves. Either to people who have been seeing themselves, those who attend Pentecostal, they only just see themselves attending Pentecostal churches. They don't see themselves a part of that church. But today, people are now taking ownership. Yeah, ownership. Yeah. And because the PPJ light that they have shown to them, is actually shining, and they've come to see that, yes, the church is for everyone and not just for the
leaders,
GOs or those who establish them.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel. And viewers, that's not is it noteworthy that the church is for everyone, not just an exclusive preserve of the general overseer. And my final concept is this: listen, corruption has dealt so much with the church, and now it's time for us to put our foot on the ground. Don't sit on the fence. What you can do is to join this train, because if a nation is failing, when God comes in, he's going to ask the church, because he has put the responsibility in the hand of the church. And rather than criticizing, you can join the theme. You can join us on all our social media handles as is shown below. So please, don't just play the ostrich rule. When you see the program, it's for the benefit and the growth of the body of Christ, especially from the Pentecostal community. And so far, efforts being put in place are not in vain. I'm so happy to hear some of these achievements and results, and a lot of people coming on board to join hand. A time is coming. I remember the prophecy of Pa Elton, the father of Pentecostal in Nigeria, that a time will come that, yes, there's corruption now. A time is coming where the nation Nigeria shall be known as a nation of integrity and not that of corruption. And you and I are privileged to be alive in such a time as this. What we can do is to participate so that history will not speak against us. Until I come your way next week, my name remains Oche Ocheme, saying shun corruption. Thank you so much, Mr. Samuel, for coming. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you,
viewers. You can join us on all our social media handles, and please send in your comments, your questions, your contributions, and we'll respond to it appropriately. God bless you.